Hey everyone, welcome to Car Review. Today we're going to do a spoiler-filled review of Wonder Woman 1984. So let's get into it. So Wonder Woman 1984 or Wonder Woman 2, whatever you want to call it, I think it's great, and it's a great next installment in the Wonder Woman film franchise. And for those who can see it in a theater, I would encourage you to do so, as I think the overall big screen presentation of the movie adds to the experience. However, if you cannot see it in a theater and you can only see it at home, I completely respect the decision. We are in a pandemic, and the health of the people that get to see the movie is much more important than the way we get to see the movie. So again, go to the theater if you can. If you can't, just sit back and enjoy. But as I said, we'll be getting into spoilers, and we're going to get into spoilers right now. Okay, so the opening for the movie, back on Themyscira. I get why they did it. Themyscira is great. I like Themyscira. You know, the production team, the writers, they established this great island, this great nation with this great culture, and to not utilize it again in future movies would be a disservice. To only have this island serve as the origin point for what we know of Wonder Woman would not be correct. However, the way it's utilized in the movie, I think it's unnecessary. I think actually you could cut out that entire opening section and it would be the same movie. You have to just somehow find a way to put the life lesson that Diana needs to learn in a different location, which is not hard, because the life lesson has to do with truth and hope. We know these things about Wonder Woman. Okay, she is a beacon of truth and hope. She is that idol that we saw in that first movie that emphasizes those things above all else. But to have the opening of the movie revolve around the Amazonian Olympics is not right. And I think that with the movie coming in at just around 2.5 hours, I think you could have cut that out, shaved it down to a nice 2:15, 2:10, and that would have served the overall story much better. Again, I like Themyscira, but the problem with the opening, not only does it not serve much purpose, it contradicts what we know about Wonder Woman. Because in the first movie, her mother did not want Diana to train as a way to protect her. And we know that Diana was trained in secret by her mother's sister and all that stuff. She was trained by the current greatest warrior that Themyscira knew. However, we know that her training took place between the time of her being a child to her being a teenager. Then the mother finds out, and when she's a teenager and she realizes, oh my gosh, I need my daughter to be trained. So then her training goes into full force. In 1984, though, the Olympics take place when Diana is a child. And again, she might not need training to do this, but she's doing backflips, she's doing acrobatics, she's very well skilled with a bow and on horse, and she looks like she's had training or experience with all these things before, yet her training did not completely kick off until her teen years. Maybe I'm nitpicking, maybe I'm getting my wires crisscrossed and I'm not completely understanding the timeline. I don't fully know. I feel like I should know, though, because I saw Wonder Woman, the first movie, before I rewatched it before I saw 84, and I think that they work great together. I think that they bounce off each other greatly. But even still, I saw Wonder Woman, the first one, 3 hours before I saw 84. And my first thought with this Themyscira flashback was, this doesn't add up right. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But the overall presentation left a bad taste in my mouth. And so, again, I like Themyscira. Should have been left out. Should have been handled differently. That's just my opinion, though. Moving forward, though, to the 80s, I really like it. I think that the way that they use the 80s is great. I really like the environment and the aesthetic that they provide. The colors pop. The sounds are there. And it looks and feels like a place you want to live in. And though I was born outside of the 80s, when watching the movie, I thought, man, if I had a time machine, I'd love to go back and experience all this stuff. They do a great job in that overall presentation, whereas they lack that presentation in the Themyscira beginning. You get into the 80s and it's great. You establish Wonder Woman as this almost type of Batman-like figure, not in her brutality, not in the way how she takes care of business, but in the fact that she wants to remain secretive. She does not want the world to know about her yet. She very much wants to stay out of the literal spotlight. She disables security cams, tells people watching her to keep her secret and stuff. And so I like that a lot. However, since so much time has passed between when we first saw her in World War I and now, again, you're looking at about 60 plus years of time, they present a lot of information to you and they expect you to just roll with it, they being the filmmakers and the production team and all that stuff. Wonder Woman now has a new set of armor. It's that gold winged armor that looks like an eagle. It's all plated in gold. Looks cool. I'm sure makes a great action figure and whatever, and I liked it in the movie, but the way that they present it to us is very much, and now she has this, and she got it from here, and all this stuff. And I can't remember the Golden Eagle Warrior's name. I'll just call her Eagle. But the way that they talk about Eagle's backstory, again, is kind of contradictory to what we know of Themyscira before, because Wonder Woman clearly states when she's talking to Steve Trevor, I found the armor, and it belonged to our greatest warrior during the revolution, when man tried to enslave us, and we all, us Amazonians, got together. We gave her all of our armor to reinforce just her so she could hold the line, so we could escape. Cool, awesome, whatever. But why was she not mentioned before in the first movie when Diana is first taught about the history of Themyscira and the gods and the revolt of man and all that stuff? Also, in the first movie, her mother clearly states, Diana, once you leave, you can never return. Now, does that mean she can never return to Themyscira? Does that mean she can never return to being a full, pure Amazonian? I'm not sure. That's not clearly stated. And I know she's not full, pure Amazonian because she was born, by Zeus and all that stuff. But I'm wondering, though, still, how could she have gotten the armor? She said that she found it in the world. So that would imply that the eagle, the gold eagle, would have left Themyscira to do this. Or that, well, now I can't remember. I can't remember if Themyscira existed or not before the fall, before the revolution. Regardless, though, the confusion I'm feeling right now is the state at which this story is in. Okay, this is the issue, is that the first movie was so tight, it was so airlocked on, this is Wonder Woman, this is what she's doing, this is where she needs to get to, and this is what she's going to be doing after. And now in 84, it's very much, here she is now, here's what she needs to do, but there's, oh, by the way, she can do this, and she found this, and she talked to this person, and she can no longer do this. I mean, we now learn, and again, it's cool, we now learn that she's been interacting with the ability to make things invisible, hence how she gets her invisible jet, which is very cool. It's a nice callback to her classic vehicle. But the problem is that this movie takes place after the original movie, yet before Justice League. And in Justice League, we never see her turn things invisible. Granted that she says she's been trying to go at this for decades, and she's only done it twice. However, if she can do it as strongly as she did in 84, completely taking over a jet for long stretches of time, you think that she would continue to progress in that skill when we get to Justice League. Also, again, great moment, and I love it, her ability to fly. Her being able to fly is great because she practically won't have an invisible jet in this film series. I don't think so. But again, we never see her fly in Justice League. Not to my knowledge, at least, and I haven't seen that movie in a long time, and I don't intend to go back until we get the hashtag Snyder Cut. But again, there are near inconsistencies with her character, not only in how she operates in the world, but also in her actual abilities as Wonder Woman, that make the story seem a little more sloppy. Again, I love this movie. I think it's great. If the first film was a 10, I give this an 8. But there are points where you kind of just have to accept and go on with it and just be like, well, it's a movie, well, it's Wonder Woman. But anyway, getting more into what I like about the movie, I love the supporting cast. I think Kristen Wiig, Chris Pine, and Pedro Pascal all do great in their roles. I love their chemistry when they're together and they're bouncing off one another, and I also love their moments as a character and as actors when they are alone, when they have their private moments. And man, was I worried about how they were going to bring back Chris Pine. One of my favorite moments of the first movie is the sacrifice of Chris Pine, not only in that the emotional weight that it carries for them, but also just it was such a great close to that character. And to have him come back in the movie really scared me that it was going to be shoehorned in, much like Themyscira, and that it was going to negate the sacrifice that he made and how Wonder Woman felt impacted by his sacrifice. And I'm very happy to report that that's not the case. I love the way that they did it. I love the idea of the wishing stone, how you can wish for whatever you want. You can wish for whatever you want, but there's a catch. There's a hidden catch, almost like playing with the devil. You know that if he tempts you and if you obey, his wishes or whatever, he will give you what you want, but he's also going to take something too. And I love that parallel. I love that when Steve Trevor comes back, it is actively making her weaker. I love that power dynamic. I love that actual struggle, because it makes her literally vulnerable. It makes her literally take damage. And I'm very glad that we get to see her struggle, not only on an emotional sense, but also physically, because it can be sometimes hard to make these superhero movies have stakes, and I'm very happy that they handled it the way that they did. It made her seem much more real and much more just attainable as a person. It, even though she at some points has her powers not completely stripped away, but just taken down to a lesser degree, we still very much appreciate her and respect her as the wonderful woman, pun intended, that she is. The fact that she still hangs on to her hopeful and truth-filled ways, despite her not always having her full abilities at her side, is really awesome. And gosh, it completely floored me when Steve Trevor, he began to realize, you need to move on. You need to continue to be who you are without me. Once he realized that his literal existence was tied to her being Wonder Woman, and him knowing that he'd have to go away again for her to continue to be this amazing force in the world, that completely got me. And their last moment, when there's chaos and riots in the street, and they're both injured from the previous fight, and they're talking behind that building, and he just says, hey, you gotta let me go. You have to. For the greater good, you have to let me go. And as Wonder Woman runs out into the street and Chris Pine just fades out of camera behind that building, seriously, that got me. That got me. It about made me tear up. It really did. And I love their chemistry, and I wish we could have more of it. Could we in the future? Well, sure. It's a comic book movie. Of course we're gonna have more Chris Pine and Gal Gadot acting as Steve Trevor and Wonder Woman. But again, to duplicate that sense of loss when they did it so perfectly in the first movie is a huge risk. It could have blown up in their faces at any point once he's back. But they doubled down, and they knew what they needed to do, and they did it in such a good way that it made me appreciate his sacrifice more. And it makes me appreciate the sacrifice that Wonder Woman has to make, because she willingly did it. And I think from the beginning we all kind of knew that was coming. We're not going to have a depowered Wonder Woman in this universe, but I very much got the sense that Diana was okay with her becoming a mortal, or to not have her powers, if she got to have her love. And I thought that they were really gonna carry that to the end of the movie. They didn't. They carried it to about the halfway mark, which I'm fine with. But I love that. And that to me is a sense of good writing. Where this movie overall does not connect perfectly, that point their chemistry does, and that's great. That is a tool in their toolbox that they should continue to utilize, in addition to the mascara. How they do that, I have no idea, but it is something that they know they can do well, and I would encourage them to do it again if they feel they have a medium to do it in. Again, don't try to shoehorn in their relationship into Wonder Woman 3 or beyond if it doesn't work. Don't do it just because the character parallels work great. You can do that with any other characters, but if they have a cool way to do it like they did in 84, I'm all for that. I thought Kristen Wiig as Cheetah, as Barbara, fantastic. I love her portrayal. I love her honesty. I love her awkwardness. I love her sense of purpose and why she's doing what she wants to do, because we've all felt bullied. We've all felt awkward. We've all felt compared to someone great. And even those who we consider to be friends, Barbara very much considered Diana to be a friend, and to even compare yourself to the point where you want to, just damage the other person. I think that's something we can all relate to. A rising tide raises all ships. However, Barbara wanted to pull Diana down, and Barbara got roped up into her own hubris so much that she literally became the apex predator. She became Cheetah, and I like the way that they did that, and I like her design a lot. I just wish we would have got more time with her, and I wish we could get more time with her still. Not just Barbara the character, because she's great, but Cheetah, actually her as a cheetah human person thing. I really like that. And at the end, again, it makes sense for her to be depowered, but she was a great villain, and we clearly saw her go toe to toe with Wonder Woman when she's in her eagle armor. I mean, that's armor, like she's just tearing that away. And so I hope we get more time with Wonder Woman versus the Cheetah, because Barbara still, I'd imagine she still has the same emotional connections she has to Diana and to all that she's done. She just doesn't have the physical strength, unless maybe everyone completely forgets their wishes once they renounce them. I don't fully know. Again, writing not really the strongest point of this movie, but I really like Barbara, and I want to see more of her. And even if she were to come back and just kind of that quirky scientist type person, I want to see more of her there. Same with Pedro Pascal as Max Lord. I think he's great. I think The Mandalorian did a great job outside of his Star Wars fame. It could have been easy for them to look at The Mandalorian and see a template of how to utilize this character, how to utilize this actor as more of just kind of your silent killer. But no, he's talking, he's smart-mouthing, he's blabbering away, he's being charismatic, and I love that, and I want more of him. And I love the emotional connection that he has with his son. That's really great. The connections between the characters is something that Patty Jenkins and the writing team did a great job on. Again, Diana to Steve Trevor, Diana to Barbara, Max Lord to Barbara, Max Lord to his son. That all works great. That all works really well. The overall narrative that they exist in, it could have been a little more concise and stuff. But I love the movie. I really, really do. I think it's great, and I see it getting a lot of hate on Twitter and stuff, and online and other places. But I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it deserves it. I think this is the movie that we need right now, especially in the pandemic. One that is filled with so much hope and so much optimism, yet is still just as entertaining without cramming a message down your throat. And Wonder Woman very much has a message that she wants to tell, again, being hope and optimism and truth. But it's still fun, it's still colorful, it's still bright, it's still that roaring adventure that we all know it to be from the first movie, just now in a literally different timeline. And I think the movie is fantastic for it, and I really want to see more. This movie made me really excited for a Wonder Woman 3, and so I hope we get that sooner rather than later. But yeah, please check out Wonder Woman 1984 if you can in theaters, and if you can't, please do it on HBO Max. It's worth your time, it's worth your money, and you will not be disappointed. So that is my spoiler-filled review of Wonder Woman 1984. If you like this video, comment, share, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, peace.